I was just sent a link to this pre-build system with the question like, is this too good to be true? Am I dumb? Is this amazing? Aren't pre-builds usually a ripoff? And honestly, there's a lot of bad pre-builds out there. But I wanted to investigate this, and it's seeming so legit that I flipped on the camera, and we need to talk about this. So first of all, this is a 7800X3D with a 1TB SSD, 32 gigabytes of RAM, RTX 5070, all for $1,200, which seems crazy for those specs. I was also wondering, is this like a pricing mistake? And what are the other like components? Like what's the motherboard in there? Is it some weird proprietary thing or something like that? So I did actually search to see if I could find any deals website where this was posted, and I did find it on our Build a PC sales. And initially I was like, they've been canceling a lot of people's orders. So I was like, okay, it's not gonna work. But then we did have some replies to that saying, no, I placed an order on Wednesday and it showed up yesterday. Higher quality than I expected. The case is solid. The AI cooler is legit. And then people asked some follow-up questions about what are the other hardware in there. And it's an MSI Pro B650 VC Wi-Fi. So it's not some weird proprietary motherboard or something like that. The 5070 is a triple fan version from PNY. They got a Crucial P3 Plus 1TB SSD. The RAM itself is not super fast, 5200 CL38, although the fact that it's paired with a 7800X3D should actually minimize that issue, because if you've seen testing of CPU speed scaling with RAM, X3D CPUs are not super RAM sensitive, I think because they're getting all the cache hits on that huge cache, and so not needing as much of that RAM affecting the speed. And in the AIO cooler is, of course, an iBuyPower version. And by the way, we got some other confirmation for what it's worth. Mine shipped, just got it today. Anyway, so multiple people saying that they are actually getting this shipped. So this seems legit. So are we able to put together anything comparable? Is this as good of a deal as it seems? And also, if you are ending up to buying a PC, you really need to think about upgrading your monitor as well. And one of the best things about the PC market right now is monitor deals. Like, check this out. So many people are making a huge mistake on their PC build by not thinking enough about the monitor that you will actually be viewing all of the content on. And the good news is that while much of the PC hardware space has stagnated, like GPUs, the monitor space has been incredibly exciting, with high-end specs and features that used to cost thousands just a few years ago, now available at extremely affordable pricing. KTC is leading that charge with their mission of offering monitors with better specs than competitors at the same price, or same specs at a better price. Either way, the consumer wins, and a huge thanks to KTC for sponsoring this part of today's video. For example, check out the H27P6. It has a dual switch between 4K and 1080p. At 4K, it supports 160 Hz with 2 millisecond response times and 95% DCI-P3 and 99% sRGB coverage, making it perfect for the latest AAA graphical showcases, and a 1080p 320 Hz mode for maximum competitive advantage in fast-paced titles. I love that the 27-inch size still works great for both use cases without 1080p getting too blurry or too big for serious esports use, while the 4K mode has an incredible pixel density that larger 4K displays lack. The KTC H27P6 really is perfectly suited for all of my use cases. The 4K resolution and 99% sRGB coverage is perfect for my video editing and productivity with no fear of OLED burn-in, and its USB-C connection can even charge my laptop through the 65-watt power delivery while also transmitting the DisplayPort alt mode signal. The included stand is incredibly adjustable, even able to 90-degree pivot into portrait mode, which is great for coding, browsing, or secondary display use, running Stream Chat or Discord. Seriously, the value on offer here is almost hard to believe, but there really is no catch. KTC has actually been the manufacturer behind some of the top displays from the biggest brands for many years, but starting in 2021, they've been offering their own gaming monitors to consumers directly under their own KTC branding to enable trend-setting leap-forward technologies in never-before-seen price segments. Check the link in the video description and/or pinned comment to get the H27P6 now. All right, so here we are at PC Part Picker, and we're gonna see what sort of a deal we could put together. Now, one thing I noticed, I think some people make a mistake on when they're pricing out, is a pre-built a good value, is that they put in the specific components from the pre-built, which sometimes, if you're buying them on the open market, aren't really the best option in that category of part. So I think instead of trying to put in the exact same components, like that exact GPU model, etc., or SSD model, I think what we want to do is build something with similar overall specs for the best prices that we can and see how that comes out in comparison. So this has a 7800 X3D. And one really nice thing about these is these are actually pretty reasonably priced. They're at about $358 if I was buying one today. And the 9800 X3D is still up over around $469. So that means that the 7800 X3D, which is not a lot slower, is over $100 of savings and still getting you almost the fastest gaming CPU out there. The 9800 X3D is a bit faster, but not like dramatically faster. Hardware Unboxed actually did some recent updated testing on that, which said that, yeah, the 7800 X3D could potentially be a really good value on a super high-end part. So that's the main thing that they're getting there. They're also getting a 360 millimeter AIO cooler. So maybe let's go with something less expensive because this is like an iBuyPower model, like a branded one. So here's a $55 360 millimeter AIO. Maybe that would be more along the lines of what we're seeing in this build. So we'll do something like that. And there's also inexpensive, air coolers that you could go with. Because again, if you're customizing your own build, you do have some choices. So actually, we'll go with that. Motherboard choice, they were on a B650. Let's just sort prices low to high for B650s. Or B650Es, I guess. See what the least expensive models we can get are. There's an ASRock one, but the pre-built system did have Wi-Fi. There's an ASRock one here with Wi-Fi. Now, one thing, there has been reports of ASRock's motherboards killing some X3D CPUs recently. That makes me a little bit hesitant to go that route. We could maybe go with like a gigabyte version for just $10 more, where I haven't had the recent reports of X3D CPUs dying. So I might do that. We could go with, if we were trying to really match the model, there is, we could go with some like MSI models and really try to match it. But I'm going to try to go, again, take advantage of doing a custom build. We can at least go with something near the lower end of what's pricing that's currently available. So it's not a one-to-one match on the motherboard, but it has Wi-Fi. It's a B650. You could obviously look into, when choosing a motherboard in general, just advice, like a lot of what matters is just like, does it have all of the I/O stuff that you want? Like, does it have the USB headers that you'd want for that match the front panel on your case? And just like, does it have enough of M.2 slots for what you particularly want to do? So motherboards can be kind of a personal choice based on a lot of stuff. Do you even care about it having Wi-Fi? Are you going to be plugging in with Ethernet anyway? So there's all sorts of stuff there. Now, the build that we're looking at in the video does have some pretty inexpensive memory at 32 gigabytes. So I'm not saying that what I'm about to slot in here is what I would choose, but we're gonna maybe try to at least be along the lines of the kind of performance they were looking at. What was it? DDR5 5200 CL38. So 5200 CL38, we're pricing things low to high here. So I'm seeing 5200 CL36, so even slightly better on the timings here at $85. Now, I will say though, for like literally $2 or $3 more, I can get to DDR5 6000 CL30, which is kind of a sweet spot on this. So I think I'm actually going to do that. So our build for like $2 more is going to have better RAM. So we are getting something at least slightly better here with the RAM on our build. Now for storage, we're going to go ahead and search for a 1 terabyte SSD to match their build. Now personally, I would prefer to be at 2 terabytes. So that's, again, a nice thing that you could do if you're doing a custom build is, you can meet those types of conditions that you're looking for. Now, I don't want to get a SATA SSD. It looks like we do have a 1 terabyte PCIe Gen 4, may or may not be particularly fast, but only $50. Let's go ahead and slot that in. Here, okay, now the video card, let's see how low of a price we can get on a 5070 right now. And guys, they actually are noticeably below MSRP. They are actually down as low as $50 right now, and I actually found some models that aren't showing up here on PC Part Picker. This is the 3-fan PNY model that I think is more similar to what's actually in the build, but I think I'm going to go with the lowest price one available at $500, which is $50 below MSRP, to see where we're at here. And now we need to fit in a case and a power supply, and we're already pretty much at the price limit on the matching the pre-built system. So if we go for some reasonable but not too expensive case options, like scrolling through here, Montech usually has some pretty good, price to performance type cases. What actually is available here? We've got the Montech XR. Well, what does this iBuy power system kind of look like here? Yeah, I mean, that would kind of match a similar sort of aesthetic, at least. I don't know, guys. The case is going to be kind of a placeholder. You could choose something that you like the look of more or less than what we're going to get here. There's tons of options that you can scroll through, various pros and cons. We definitely want to get one that comes with a bunch of fans, because we don't want to waste money on that or anything. So maybe we slot in something that, has a similar visual look to what we were seeing in that build. I mean, the fan sizes here are slightly different, but okay, this will be kind of a placeholder. And it's coming in at well under $100 there. And then power supply wise, here's where we don't actually know exactly what's going on in that system. But I do know that if I'm going to be building something, this Montech Century 2 80 plus gold unit here, I've talked about this in previous videos. This is actually rated like A, I can't remember if it's A minus or A plus tier. I think it's A minus tier on the PSU tier list and everything like that. This is actually a good quality option here at about $90, 850 watts. Okay, so what we have here is a build that is probably in some ways slightly better. We have slightly faster memory, and this is probably a better power supply than whatever we're getting in that system. And we're coming in at about $1,343. And again, this is also still not getting an operating system. I'll leave it up to you if, a gray market site or, other ways or just not activating Windows, or maybe you're going to put Linux on it, all sorts of things. But if you're buying a legitimate copy of Windows, that would also add some cost to this total. So am I able to beat this build at the same price? No, this does seem like a really, really good deal, especially if you're interested in a pre-built system. This is also coming with a mouse and keyboard. I have no idea if those are just like complete garbage tier, but it does come with a mouse and keyboard, which has some sort of value to it. So that is pretty interesting. Now, I mean, if I had to come in at $1,200, could we shave off anything from this build? I mean, there's really not a ton of wiggle room. We could lose the AIO cooler and go with like a $30 air cooler. The main thing I would probably cut if I was actually targeting a $1,200 build is I would probably go without the 7800X 3D. So like you could go with a less expensive option where if you're GPU limited, you're not gonna really notice the difference. Looks like a 7600 or 7600X are both priced around $179 right now. Let's see what the 9600's at. $177 right now for the 9600X. So if we slotted in something like that instead, we now come in slightly under the value, the price of the build, of the pre-built system. But like I said, we're missing an operating system, a mouse, and a keyboard. So there is some thoughts on that. But like I said, though, I do think we have probably a better power supply, even though I don't have confirmation of what power supply is in that system. I doubt it's like an A- tier 850 watt power supply. So this is probably a better power supply. And like I said, our memory speed's slightly faster, but that's not really that big of a deal on an X3D CPU. So really, for an actual $1,200 build, yeah, I don't think I can beat that pre-built system, which is interesting because, like I said, a lot of pre-built systems are absolute garbage tier, but this one really does seem to be an extremely interesting option. Now, I can post a link to this. I don't have a Walmart affiliate deal or anything, so it's not sponsored. I was really just sent this and was asked, is this a great deal? And it actually looked like such a good deal. I wanted to actually do a video investigating, could I beat it with a custom part? I mean, in general, like kind of final thoughts on this is like one thing about pre-built systems is not only are they buying in huge bulk, but sometimes I think if they want to like clear out some space, sometimes you can get some discounted stuff. So occasionally, pre-built systems can hit some discounted prices that you just can't match when buying components individually when they're having to clear things out or just got really big bundle deals or whatever. And that seems to be what's going on here. Again, also don't forget about the awesome KTC monitor I mentioned in the sponsored link in the video description and or pinned comment. Hope you guys found the video useful and or interesting for some $1,200 build ideas, pre-built versus custom build in that similar kind of price point. And yeah, hope you guys have an excellent day.